calling for law and order at a dead police officer's funeral. And here are these three idiots popping out of the floor in Radio City Music Hall like a bunch of freaking actors in The Wiz or something. Look at these goofballs. They had to do that because they probably didn't want Biden walking up the steps. What the hell is going on here? Not one of these three idiots thought it was a good idea to pop in. Even worse, they just talked that Biden didn't even call the family. Look at this crap. Look at this, like it's a performance of Cats or something like that. Coming out of the orchestra pit.
Yo, it's, whoa, that blew the mic way off. Sorry about that. Hey guys. Oh, wrong camera. There we go. Sorry about that. If you haven't noticed by the time already, been having some more technical difficulties, unfortunately, because the main issue seems to be coming from the fact that, well, the main way they want you to do streaming now, if you're doing multi-platform streaming, is they are really trying to make sure that they get you to spend money on yet another subscription-based fee that will cost you, I think, what, $20 a month under your normal plan, or whatever it is yearly. I really couldn't care less because I'm not going to spend money for that shit. If worse comes to worse, I have a backup plan. I don't really want to do it this way. I really wanted to do dual live streams because there should be no issue with that. That wasn't an issue. The last time I checked, I never really got into it, but I knew it was there. I watched several tutorial videos on how to do it, and all of a sudden now I come back and all of a sudden you have to have like 3 different plugins and all this other different crap that you got to get set up. I don't know. Point being that they really want to get you to sign up for that now. So if that is really what it comes to, if this doesn't really work out according to plan today as episode 1, which, you know, to be honest, I'm going to kind of keep it not exactly how I planned because this is going to have to be more of a test case than anything else. Unfortunately, I was all ready to go. I was fire and brimstone ready to rain down today, but unfortunately it seems like that's not in the cards. So instead, I am going to just kind of wing it and do what I was going to originally do for our introduction episode before I decided instead to make it just a little funny, goofy video that hopefully you guys have seen now as the sort of intro to the channel. And that video, obviously, there's a reason why every clip is some kind of journalist segment of some kind, be it you know, one news station or another. But anyway, point being that well, you'll know why it comes down to being a way to sort of take a close look at journalists who, and some of them aren't. I wouldn't even say are journalists in quotes. But regardless, the more important point was that I was trying to get across the idea that we're going to be talking about entertainment and news and politics and culture and how they all kind of reciprocate together to make one big giant amalgamation of weird garbage for the most part. But there's one reason in particular I'm sticking with journalists, which I'll get to very shortly. But before I get there, since this is the very first time I'm doing a stream for the channel, I wanted to say welcome and thank you guys so much. I've noticed already, I've been very surprised. There's been a decent amount of attention that has been already on the channel, which I can't thank you guys enough. For anybody that right now, with everything being ridiculously expensive, times being tough, and every resource you have pretty much being invaluable, more so than ever, I would say that one of the few resources that you probably have a pretty good amount of control on is time and how you spend it. And so at a time like this when time really matters, and you can use it for anybody and everybody that you really would want to spend your time watching. It's totally not lost on me that it's an investment for everybody out there that is actually sitting down and watching me speak on things. So I really want to thank all you guys, anybody that even tunes in and gives the show a chance. I really very much appreciate it because I'll discuss this also in more detail later. But to put it short and sweet, this has been a project of mine that has literally been in the works for probably over 3 years now, and it sounds really stupid. It sounds like it's kind of crazy, but I mean I am too. But the point being that why did it take that long? Well, a lot of reasons, and I'm starting to kind of reinforce what those reasons are now, considering the fact that what's on my shirt? Where is it? Oh, I think it's paint. Sorry. Yeah, I was painting some tabletop miniatures. Watched a funny segment about what's that guy? Chris. What's his name? He plays the new Superman. He's a total nerd, and he really loves Warhammer. So I would love to sit down and play a game with him. But anyway, that's good culture. But no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, point being, to go back to what I was saying, I really, really do appreciate anybody that actually does take the time. And the reason the show is in production for 3 years, besides me being crazy and stupid, is that I really am meticulous and very anal about things, like having everything that I'm imagining be something that works, how I'm picturing, and basically one of my original ideas, and this is what I'm going to have to fall back on if this doesn't work with the dual stream, is to the live stream will be on Rumble, and the video afterwards will be live, or not live, will be put up as a full stream on, or as a full video on YouTube after it goes as a live stream on Rumble. So, and the main reason being that, well, two main reasons. Number one, I've been very, very happy with Rumble. I love what they've done, and I really want to support it as much as possible. So if I had to pick between the two, I would want to support Rumble more. And to be honest, when it comes down to it, on YouTube, anything that I've ever done for YouTube has gotten more views over time as opposed to live streams. So, and maybe that's different now. It's been so long. I streamed to Twitch for a while. I'm most certainly over that. I'm not going to be doing any Twitch streams. Even if I played games, I wouldn't be doing Twitch streams. But I definitely want to favor Rumble when it comes to anything I would be doing that would be choosing one platform over another for whatever reason. So yeah, that would be the plan if this doesn't really actually come through today. I'm going to have to go back and look and see how the stream actually came through, because I'm getting all sorts of weird messages right now about how the quality of the stream's not high enough, even though it's reading in the green, like there's nothing at all wrong. I don't know. I have no idea why it's giving me these weird messages. But either way, I don't know for sure what's going on, and I don't even know exactly what chat I'm potentially looking at. There's not anybody in the chat actually at the moment, luckily, or as far as I can tell. But obviously that'll be something that I highlight, as well as like things like, of course, any kind of super chat tips or anything like that will be highlighted, of course. And I'm going to be handling the show eventually, kind of more like a podcast. Just ultimately because I think that's the kind of format that is going to work best as. But anyway, that's all things for the future. And as for now, like I said, the only thing that looks like it's going to be immediately a big deal is going to be just the idea of where it's going to be live and where it's going to be uploaded. And I'm guessing that probably not many people out there are going to mind one way or another because, well, one interesting thing of note for me is that the last channel that I was working on, which was Why the hell is this open? Okay, get rid of that. Um, one of the other main channels, the last one I was doing was with a couple other guys, and they were actually them and some of their friends that I also would do streams with. Um, they all lived in Europe, mostly just different parts of Northern Europe and Northwest Europe. And anyway, so that actually ended up leading to a lot of the channel's followers and viewers being in that part of the world where it wouldn't be an issue, except time zone was so different than where I'm at, because I am on the west coast of the United States, so I'm about as far away as you can get in the Western world. And so yeah, I kind of had to plan on, and that was also something that was factored into my thinking for this channel as well. Although, because we're discussing mostly American sorts of culture and politics and things like that, we're gonna um, obviously be more catering towards the U.S. audience. So, but I also made a lot of friends as well in the last channel, on my last channel, our last channel, was was a group of people from Eastern U.S. too. So, I mean, I met people from where I'm at, and then all the way across the country, across the Atlantic to the other side of, to Europe and wherever they might be in that country. But anyway, so I don't know exactly what to expect for audience in their location, but I tried to make it so that whether you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, or in Europe, you'd be able to catch this at hours that would be pretty much decent hours for anybody. At the bare minimum, you'd still be awake. Anyway, so we'll kick off with actually do something of value. We'll start with sort of what to expect from the channel, because I know it's probably not clear in the slightest exactly what I'm going to be talking about. And everybody can turn on a mic and talk about entertainment, talk about politics, talk about culture, talk about what's going on in popular culture and things like that. That's not really my intention. There's sort of I don't want to call it strict, but there's essentially a nucleus, I guess I can call it, where everything else is kind of floating around that main starting point that I came from. And it's probably, well, it's definitely because while I was in college, and this is going to sound crazy, as I was in college in 2005, 6, and 7, I think. Community college, mind you, not four-year university. Proud of it, but still. But it's going to sound kind of crazy. The West Coast, and going to a community college, taking journalism courses, as a matter of fact. As far as news writing goes, taking literally every single news writing course that you can take, to the point that I went from staff writer to senior staff writer to entertainment editor, and then entertainment and editorial editor, to co-editor-in-chief for a year, and then I left and never did anything journalism related exactly. But I did learn a lot of stuff because of the involvement in photojournalism and image editing and things like that. I got jobs that were pretty much all in some form of media or another. The last of which, I guess you could call media, but at least it's still artistic. The last of which was tattooing, which of course has nothing to do with news or media, but, well, I guess you can sometimes say it was, but for the most part, not really. But anyway, that actually prepared me for like learning to use Photoshop, learning to use Page. What's that layout program from Adobe? I can't remember. There was PageMaker, but there was another one that was the layout. And then just learning how newspapers are organized, learning how news articles are written, was always something that was pretty valuable. But the more important thing was that I learned how a news article is structured totally differently than like an educational paper or than an essay or than creative writing or whatever. There's a very strict structure to writing a news article, which is kind of like it's almost inverted from how you would write like a story that was the traditional fictional story where you build up to a climax and then you kind of have the conclusion. In news writing, you actually are supposed to kind of front load the most important information right at the beginning because it's about getting the information to the people that are reading it as fast as possible. And that just really wasn't for me. I could never write that way. I always wanted to have some kind of really creative way that I would put things, and then people got kind of confused. Anyway, to get back on track with the important part of this, though, that this is in, like I said, in western part of the United States with a teacher who was a guy who was not like super old, but he was getting close to retirement age. He had been a journalist for just about every newspaper that was around from California to New Mexico and had worked from really large newsrooms to newsrooms where he was literally the only staff writer and photographer on staff. So he did pretty much every section himself, and the guy was a serious pro. And what is so interesting about this guy, and thinking back on it now, is really from the very beginning of his classes, he emphasized the bias in media, even at that time, that has historically existed, and the fact that it was a heavy leaning towards liberal politics from news of all forms. Now, when you go back and, or at least when I went back and looked at, back then when I was checking out news stations, this was also right after 9/11, of course, so Fox had a very strong viewership, and that was really when they exploded, because after 9/11, that was really when Fox was a channel that was actually picking up a lot of steam, and because that and maybe a couple of talk radio stations were really the only like real big conservative media of any kind. There wasn't any kind of social media where conservatives really gathered at all. Don't worry, it's just mineral water. But anyway, because of this, Fox had a very strong viewership, and they also wore their politics on their sleeves. They weren't shy about it. And there was kind of a I won't say it was respectful, because it wasn't. There was still a decent amount of tension between the two, but even left-leaning people at the time kind of understood, okay, this is the right wing's answer to kind of deal with the fact that they don't really have any news channels to turn to and watch. And it made sense that after decades of the monopoly that left-wing news had on pretty much every station, that people who were right-leaning could have a channel and have media of some kind that they could turn on and listen to as well. What blows my mind, though, now is that when you look at the media scene and you look at the way colleges operate now, I guarantee you, if I went back to that community college today and tried to take journalism, and because I know my teacher's retired for sure by now, I wouldn't be getting the same message in the slightest. And not only that, but more importantly, I would be getting taught, because they do teach you how things are worded. And this was something that actually, in my time here, I was taught to be made aware of. And this is something that everybody that really looks into, that reads or watches any kind of news should be aware of. We were taught to be aware that when you have a bias towards something, And your job as a news writer is to tell the tell the story as straight down the middle as you can, even if you try to stay completely aware of what you're doing the entire time and try not to have it come out that you're slanted one way or another. It's inevitable that there's going to be circumstances in just about every article where um, you're going to word something that's going to sound a little harsh towards one side, or is going to be um, a little bit too fluffy and praising the other side. It's going to be just in word choices that carry different connotations. You're just going to have it come out. But once again, as this guy who was an exemplary teacher really emphasized, that your job is to always be aware of those things, catch them when they happen, recognize that no one's perfect and those are always going to happen, but do your best to make sure that you minimize them as much as possible and try to make it so that what you write is as close to impartial as possible. And it was it was a very interesting way to look at things, and I really, because obviously at that point I had no idea about that sort of thing. I didn't watch news. I caught snippets of news, but I had been finally getting into news by the time I was getting into college, because I'd been good at writing for all my young life, and going into college I was always I wrote a lot, and journalism kind of seemed like a natural fit. I later realized that it wasn't at all based on my writing style, but and then also because now many other reasons, but at the time it was mostly just because of the fact that I just didn't feel like um, it was just the kind of place for me. The schedule was like, you get a call at 4 a.m. about a fire downtown that you need to cover. You got to go do it. Um, if there's a one story that really hit me hard was our teacher was telling us about car accident that he had to go and cover, and it was a young girl hit by a fairly large truck, and her father came to the scene, and he had his camera, and he was prepared to take a picture of this father who was on the verge of fighting cops to get to his daughter's body, and they wouldn't let him pass. Obviously, the damage was too bad, and he had the restraint to say, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to," because it would have been a powerful shot, but he just couldn't, emotionally. What's the word? Anyway, he couldn't bring himself morally to do that, and that was that spoke volumes to me about the ethics of journalists. And you compare that today. I mean, we just have a president who gets shot in the ear, and they're talking about it for less than 24 hours. It's a strange. Well, it's not really strange. It's just what's strange to me is that, so fast forward, we have a media now who openly tells people without any hesitation, and there's a big problem with this because of the fact that when you have a Fox or even MSNBC to an extent, I might hate freaking almost all the people on MSNBC that are hosts. I might think they are ridiculous, and they are absolutely making some of the most bad faith, stupid arguments I've ever heard, that they've literally played counter arguments for on their own channel, like sometimes years ago, with common knowledge that everybody should have heard by this point, but because they repeat the stories that are false over and over again, um, they make reality whatever it is they want it to be. So it's it's incredible how much they rely on the messaging of "don't believe your lying eyes" at this point, and don't believe what you hear from anywhere else except for from us. Like the whole model is based on everyone else is lying but us. You can trust us. And when I was kind of mentioning the thing about the way wording was done and how it was emphasized, there's also another side to wording things that it's some people have put it in a way that sounds really extreme. It's not really extreme when you know, like the kind of subtle tricks we're talking about. But a lot of broadcast anchors are trained to speak in ways that are, and like I said, it's going to sound kind of silly, but just bear with me here. Are in line with sort of hypnosis and the way that a hypnotist would speak to somebody, and the techniques they use are similar to to get people to be more receptive to a message based on the wording that's used, because in all honesty, like, that's the thing about hypnosis, is that it's not what it's portrayed to be, like in any kind of film when you actually find people. I had a friend who was really into hypnosis. You may be watching right now. What's up, Matt? But I know the security job is holding. Well, no, actually, he moved out of security and he's doing computer tech work these days, which is even better. But what's more important is that he was practicing hypnotism. But anyway, the point is that he kind of was very interested in the field for a while, and he told me a lot about like how it works and what you have to do to put someone into a state of hypnosis, and essentially what was the most interesting part to me was that first of all, there's a reason and once again, it's going to sound kind of cliche, but there is a reason why people are, when you see in films or you see in TV shows or whatever, the sort of call to break out of the hypnosis, where they count down or whatever they might do. And the reason is because when left in the state that you're in when you're in hypnosis, you can be so suggestible that that you're going to believe things that are just not true. You're going to see things that just aren't there. It can really mess with your head, really fuck with your head. And so it's no joke when somebody goes through the whole process of hypnosis, and if the hypnotist doesn't do the steps necessary to sort of bring you back out of that state, it can cause trauma, it can cause false memories, it can cause all kinds of strange anomalies that you wouldn't get if you did the procedure correctly, because the whole idea is to hear or see or get some kind of feel or impression of what is in the subconscious, as opposed to the conscious mind that's always racing and always coming up with ways to accomplish an agenda or accomplish a goal or whatever it might be that somebody has. So, but the problem is that you want to have a way to sort of snap out of the trance, so that you lose that type of serious focus and that type of serious mental hyper awareness, but only in a very direct sort of way to certain types of stimulus or types of words or events or something like that. So when the news media at this point speaks, I can tell that they really are the wording they use, and I'm going to pull a clip up in just a second. That is one of the scariest parts about modern journalism, and that is that, like I said, it's fine by me if you have a channel like Fox and you have a channel like MSNBC. One leans right, one leans left. I wouldn't say leans; they're leaning so far they fall over. But still, you have one that's left, one that's right. Nobody would contest that. The problem is when you have a bunch of others that try to claim that they are actually news channels and they're just delivering facts. They're just delivering facts. Well, no, you're not just delivering facts, because if you actually believe that, your facts are about 3 or 4 years behind and have been corrected after that. The problem is that either the anchors are under the same type of condition that the viewers are under, in which basically the ends justify the means, no matter what you're doing, as long as it's winning elections. And then as far as the way that somebody is going to approach watching it, as opposed to being somebody who's writing it, you're going to have to be always self-aware that that this person is not necessarily seeking to completely inform you, but also to get a type of result that they really want. So that's just, that's incredibly depressing, but like that's the way it goes, and it manifests today in the worst way possible, because of the fact that people really are we've seen under the COVID pandemic and everything that came along with that things like rubber gloves, latex gloves, vinyl gloves, but anyway, so they also have this sort of weird way of, and I don't know what they do. I don't know if they coordinate these things ahead of time, or if they're told this by a higher up at the news station, or if literally the teleprompter and the audio they're hearing in their earpiece or whatever about the wording to use. I don't know whether that's coming from someone who is part of the political class. I don't know if it's because of someone who I'm not good with finding the right words at the moment, but I think you guys get where I'm getting at. The fact that there seems to be like a word or a phrase of the day that you hear, especially among left-wing media, and not only do they all, and by all I mean every single person who has a show, who anchors a show, or who is a co-host of a show on their channel during the primetime hours, they're going to be designed to not to inform, not to keep people, but it just never happens. So I'm going to play an example right now of what I'm talking about, and give me just a second to pull this up. So I saved this clip, and I thought this was a perfect way to illustrate one of these trends. This one just happens to be, it's fairly recent. It's not super recent, but it's one that was used so often that, and I don't know how this was landed on as, like, because personally I don't see the the impact of the word itself being such a, such a nothing. Like it literally is a complete nothing. There's no point for it to be there. No one is going to understand your perspective better if everybody says the same thing. They're just going to be all completely like misinformed. And I hate to use that word. Well, maybe not that one. Disinformation. Maybe I would hate to use a little bit more. But in any case, let me pull that video up and we can talk about it on the other side. And then I think we'll call it a sleep for this one because I'm very interested to see how this came through. And once again, if you haven't caught my schedule, I was late again today, obviously. But and by the way, just so you guys know, I'm not trying to, get any kind of, sympathy or any kind of like recognition for this. I just to kind of illustrate that I wasn't intending to flake out on anything. I wasn't intending to not come through with what I promised because last week when I put up the video for the channel's sort of introduction to everybody, I put the schedule that I'm going to be working. I put that at the very end, and just had a short little banner clip that kind of showed the times to expect. I think I've mentioned it once on the stream that the time starts supposed to start Pacific time at 11 a.m. Eastern time at 2 p.m. And I believe in Europe that would be about 8 p.m. somewhere in there. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I really did actually try to start the channel's first stream the day after I put that video up, which I believe was Friday when I put it up. Yeah, because Friday I was trying to put it up and I couldn't. No, Friday. No, I put it up Thursday, and then Friday I tried to put the first episode up, and I had issues. Saturday I tried to put it up, and I had issues as well. So I waited for Sunday, and then I figured, well, Monday would be the day that is the first day of the schedule. So it's Monday through Saturday, 1 hour from 11 to 12 Pacific, 2 to 3 Eastern. So basically, the point was I was trying to get across that I'm hoping that sooner rather than later, and once again, if it takes live streaming only to one channel, I guess I'll do that. But how was that video? Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. But the point is that I really was trying to get that up when I said I was. I just ended up, of course, having a situation when I couldn't figure it out, and I keep getting these, basically these pop-ups from Streamlabs, because even though I switched back to OBS and switched off Streamlabs, unfortunately, it's kind of emphasizing, because of my link to a business PayPal account, it's emphasizing that, use Streamlabs, I was until you guys are insisting that I pay money to stream to more than one channel, or more than one site, excuse me. But, like I said, if nothing else, out of principle, I'm not going to pay money to do something that up until recently was not something that cost any money. I can see where they make their money off of, stream packages and animations and things like that. That's fine. I could see why that would be something that would be a point of interest that people would spend their money on willingly. And okay, here we go. But to have it be a feature that was originally free and then taken out, and now you have to pay for it to be. I would not even pay for it if that was the only way to do it. So, um, so if there's no way to do it without having to pay that amount for a monthly fee, then like I said, I'm going to do the single channel. But it's just out of principle because honestly, I really am getting very disappointed with not OBS, but companies that are affiliating themselves with OBS. I've never been a huge fan of Elgato, despite the fact that I really do like their Stream Deck. That's about I think I really am particularly fond of. But as far as like their other products, I've used a handful of their things, and they just aren't exactly what I would call, high-end quality gear. In fact, well, I kind of have higher standards because I was also somebody who was in a band for quite a long time and did some studio recordings. And, my brother was a musician, very good, very, very good guitar player, and he was kind of obsessed with audio as well. And so I've got a mixer and a rack with about 4 or 5 active signal processors, and so maybe my standards are a little unrealistic to most people out there. But it's not really about that. It's about that their stuff is just overpriced. I've seen stuff that's in the same category, and or sometimes like just even better than what they charge for. But because of the name and because people associate it with streaming, they more or less have the stranglehold or monopoly almost on streaming gear and such. So anyway, let me get the finally found this. So let me get to this. I think is yeah, I think it's this one. I wasn't planning to play a clip, but let's see. Yeah, this is it. So here, let me see. Yep. Switch. Oh. Okay. It's not going to listen to me again on this one. Oh. No. Okay. I'm going to have to fix this too as well, but that's alright here. Oh! That's right. It's not, I didn't make a button for this yet. That's why. Okay, well, here. I'll fix it. Yeah. No, that's not it. It's this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Or is it going to? No, it's camera one. Should be. Do I have any camera one? Oh, it's not working for that. Okay, there we go. Jeez, I gotta fix that too, but that's alright. So let's let me pull this clip up and oh, that's right. That was the other. I gotta get the desktop. So I gotta get. Oh, I got it right. That's cool. Yeah, there it is. Why is it not working? I don't know. Man, really weird. So yeah, this is from townhall.com, and okay. So, as I said, this is what you can expect from the hive mind that is the news media at the moment, as well as the hive mind of the I won't say Democrat voters or left-wing voters. I will say though of the Democrat party in terms of the political figures and especially when it comes to their political strategists and consultants, and of the extreme left and the young, the little punks like Antifa and the extremists that are always running around breaking stuff for no reason. So anyway, this is their deep thoughts in action. So here let's get a sample of this.
Span on the corporate-owned legacy propaganda media. Look at how they take their marching orders.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's where they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, the weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was his talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
He kind of doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply weird. These guys are just plain weird.
Vance as weird?
You know, as the campaign said, weird.
It really is just plain weird.
J.D. Vance, plain weird.
I mean, I don't know how else you could read it.
Weird. It is kind of weird.
We're not afraid of weird people.
The other side, they're just weird. Why are you being so weird?
Vance has done something more extreme, more weird.
No matter what kind of weird stuff they keep saying.
Trump and Vance are just weird, in addition to being dangerous to democracy.
It's the weird part that's the most engaging.
Whom he addressed as my beautiful Christians, which was super weird.
Weird tech bro, J.D. Vance.
He's a weird guy.
J.D. Vance, uneasy and sort of weird.
Frankly, for lack of a better word, that he's weird.
Sarcastic remarks that aren't even funny, and he kind of shows that he can't really deliver a one-liner.
So, Sam, weird is the word here in terms of initial impressions from Vance.
Yeah, good job, Grabian. Love those.
So yes, as I was saying, that is exactly the kind of thing that, as much as they make accusations, once again, this is the kind of behavior that, you see from cults and repetition and hive-minded thinking from groups of people that really have, very little in common other than an ideology, and that ideology is something they are so sworn to and so dedicated to that nothing is off limits and nothing is too far. And that's where it really starts to scare, the average individual who maybe isn't even that political, but they see this kind of thing and they're uncomfortable and they don't understand like what is happening. I can tell you right now, that's not done by accident. And once again, as someone who took journalism, when journalism was still at least on the college level, at least community college level, being taught to some extent to actually educate the people going into those classes and prepare them for what the jobs in the field should be like. It's like a night and day difference, and there's little that can be done about it at the moment, but the most important thing for people that are out there watching that is just to remember that you're not just watching someone deliver the news. You are watching a whole cabal of think tanks and political strategists and, basically people who are paid to message to you to sell something, to sell a candidate, or to sell a policy or something along those lines. That's what you're hearing. And you're hearing it coordinated and organized extremely, extremely tight. The problem is you're dealing with a group of, for lack of a better term, a bunch of fucking goofs who really, quite honestly, when you break it down and actually think about it, are just a joke. I mean, these people are a laughing stock. And when they go into tirades like that, despite how unnerving it is that is what is being done, like that's the plan for the country has nothing to do with you. It has to do with whatever they are trying to actually make happen that they think is going to be better for them and the political and elite class. Their strategy, while it's pretty unnerving, at the same time, when you look at these people, they're freaking idiots, and they probably haven't had an original thought since they began their career. So, in that sort of environment, hey, that's kind of a quality that is even better, because we don't need you to think for yourself. We need you to think for us, or rather, in place of us, because we're not going to appear on camera. But you can do it for us, and you can say what we need you to say. And I just heard today something along the lines of if Kamala loses this election, it's going to be because the media weren't substantially covering how bad Trump is. And so just so you get the picture of how delusional these people are, they have literally been criticizing Trump on every single show they put out, on every single one of these channels. They've done it every day since he first announced his candidacy in 2015, I think. I mean, and they haven't done it enough. Like I said earlier, the guy took a bullet to the ear, and they talked about it for less than 24 hours before they were back to calling him